Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and today we are going to be working with some Make It Crafty products. And I had gotten this beautiful quote block called it's the Over the Rainbow quote block, and I just really loved it. I love rainbows. I love black and rainbow together. So I decided I was going to alter my chipboard, and this is just black acrylic paint. I picked it up at Walmart like 6 years ago or 7 years ago for like $1.50, and because I'm not really into mixed media, this has lasted me like forever. So I'm just painting on the paint right over the chipboard. These are so easy to alter. However, you could do it with paint or glitter. I have some of the Tim Holtz paint daubers that would have worked just fine. I just don't have a black color. So me and my cheapy Walmart paint, we're working it out. So I wanted to smooth out the back to make sure everything laid flat, and then I'm going to go ahead and paint the edges so that way no matter what angle you look at the card from, everything is the same color. And then after I'm done with that, I'm just going to set it aside to dry, and I'm going to move on to my Copic coloring. I am using the rainbow dandelion background, and if you have ever seen this stamp in the shop before, you probably noticed that a lot of it is missing. The whole bottom, there's a whole dandelion field on the bottom of the stamp that I have just removed. And I'm working, I have a PC, and I just put it right into my paint program, and I just cut out the parts I didn't want. And this is because on the Make It Crafty team, I'm on the Clean and Simple design team. And so I wanted my card to be clean and simple. And I think sometimes that as crafters, and you see something that is a clean and simple challenge, it can be kind of overwhelming because you don't really know what the rules are and what's clean and simple to you might not be clean and simple to me. And when I looked at that stamp, it was beautiful, but I also knew that the whole design would not be clean and simple to me. A part of being, a more clean and simple design is conserving your white space. So after I laid down some light yellow, I went back in with a very light blue marker, and I'm using a feathering technique, and I'm being careful not to mix that yellow and blue where they meet, or where they would meet. I'm leaving just a small area of white because I didn't want to have any green in my sky. And I could have just colored where the rays are on the sun, but I wanted the sun to be fuller than that. So that's why I opted to use some light yellows in the in-between areas. So I'm going in with my lightest blue color and going in between the clouds, and then just down a little bit from there, just feathering out using the tip just a little bit. And again, this is because I want to conserve my white space in the bottom right hand corner of my card. So once I get the light blue laid down, I'm going to go back in, and none of the blues that I used are terribly dark. This is B00, and I'm going to fill in from the bottom of whatever the object is. So here I'm going from the bottom of the rainbow, and here I'm going from the bottom of the cloud, and I will just continue that the whole time. Whatever the bottom edge is, that's where I'm going to be pulling my color from. And it's just it's not a shadow or anything, it's just to get some color variation so it's not terribly boring up there. And then from there, I'll just add in a little bit on the underneath with my darkest blue color, which is, again, still not very dark. It's B01. So back to the clean and simple, I really love rainbows together with, like a bold black sentiment, and these quote blocks were perfect for that. But I think a lot of times people get very nervous about what is acceptably clean and simple. Like, oh, I can't put anything on my card. It should just be one flat image. It should be a one layer card. It doesn't have to be any of those things. It's just whatever you put on your card should bring something to your design. Whatever you put down should be purposeful. So even though, I'm using a large piece of chipboard on this, I still feel at the end like the design was clean and simple because I managed to conserve my white space. It has minimal embellishments. For the majority of it, it is one layer. But yeah, I just think that, like, even with white space, like, that's what people hear. And your white space doesn't have to be white. Your white space can be a colored card base. All white space is just an area that doesn't have anything on it. So here I've kept the design mostly to the upper left-hand portion, and even when I lay down my chipboard at the end, you'll see um, it's still kept to the top, so that that bottom is still really open. Um, so with my Copic coloring, I always start with my lightest color and then work out to my darkest. I decided that the rays portion of it, I wanted to be a little bit of a darker yellowish orange, more golden, I guess, if you will. So I am working lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest, and just blending them out. These areas are fairly small, so it doesn't take much time at all to do. And I'll show you a good portion of the clouds. I didn't show you all of them because I felt like that would just be really boring. And with my clouds, you'll see here I've got a B000 and a BG11. You could just color them gray, and they would be totally fine. And, you could use your grays to do your shading and still make them look full. When I do my clouds, especially when there's so many in such a large area like this, where I already have so much weight, I like to add in a little bit of blue or a little bit of purple just to help make them a little more interesting. And all I'm doing is, from the lines that Zoe has already drawn, where it looks like the cloud is folding over on itself, I'm extending those lines, first with a C1, and then going back in with either my violet marker or my blue-green marker, and then capping it off with another coat of the C. And this just is, something that can add some variation in everyday life. If water is filtering through the sun, that's how we get rainbows, right? It's not just flat white, or even though that's how it appears to the eye, if you're looking at it from far away, that's not really how it looks. So I think that, you can add just a little bit more interest into those things with adding just a very light layer of color. And if you're not, not into purples or not into blues, you can use other, or I should say brighter purples or blues. If you're not into those, you can use other variations or different colors, whatever you like in your designs. I like purple and blue. And this week, or this month's theme is bright colors over at Make It Crafty. And I think this card's so going to qualify. I think every one of my cards would probably qualify. It's really difficult for me to use fall colors. So again, with this, just laying down the C1, and then I'm not using really any rhyme or reason for where I put the blue-green versus where I put the violet. I'm just more paying attention to those half circles to give it some fullness, so that the cloud has just a little bit of shading. And on this larger one is the first time I'm going to use the C3, just because it could carry it. It could carry that much shading. So I didn't use it in a lot of the smaller ones because I felt like, well, I don't want to end up with a completely gray cloud. Though realistically, some of them probably should have been gray because you only get rainbows when there's moisture in the air. But so yeah, I'm going to finish those off, and then I'm going to move on to the rainbow. I will show you with the red. I filled in the whole space with my lightest color, and then I started adding some shading. And I did shading from the bottom of the cloud on the left-hand side, and I did shading from the cloud that was right in the middle. Is this technically correct? Probably not. Do I care? Not at all. Not even a little bit. That's just how I chose to do it, so that there would be some variation, some lighter and darker areas. And that's what worked for me. If you're looking for a more quote-unquote realistic look, yeah, Google that, because you're not going to find it here. You're not going to find it here, guys. So I'm just working from my lightest to my darkest color, and I'm feathering those in, and I'm just adding a little bit of my darkest color of this R59, and that just, the contrast is really where it's, what it's all about. That's what's going to make your other colors look brighter and pop more. So I colored every single one of the rainbow colors the same way, but I did leave in the portion where I showed you the markers, just so you could see what color combinations I was using. And then to complete it, I just gave it a once over with the lightest color. And then I'm going to show you, like I said, those are the oranges that I used. Those are the yellows. And by, all means, feel free to pause it. This part I left in because you see I put the blue right next to the yellow. Yeah, I was like really nervous about my blues laying next to the blues in my sky. So apparently I just had blue on my head. And I jacked it up, guys. I messed it up. I colored blue right over it. But it's okay because we totally fix it. I just selected greens that had more blue in them. And then I also put the blue on top so that way everything would be the same color. So it ended up turning out fine. Everybody makes mistakes. If you make a mistake, I assure you there is a way to fix it. Don't give up on all this coloring that you've already done. It's totally unnecessary. Just work with what you got. So after it was all done, I'm using some clear Wink of Stella on the rainbow, and I will tell you I tried to put it on the chipboard and it wouldn't even take. So that was pretty much the card, and I'm just going to use some Tombow Mono Multi Glue to adhere down my rainbow chipboard, and then I added some sequins, and that's it. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.